I have altered the background in the subtlest of ways that has the deepest meaning. Will you figure it out? What do you mean you don't care? Hey there, folks. I want to talk in general about mystery in stories and in our media and how it can be well or poorly deployed, at least from my perspective. So, there are a number of things that I watch or have seen recently or have seen in the past that really, my brain has lumped them all together. I'm like, I have thoughts. The most recent thing that kind of set this off for me, or at least the most recent new thing, would be Severance, which I have now seen both seasons of. The most recent thing temporally is Doctor Who, but Doctor Who's place in this is one that I have held firm to for a while now. I am actually going to say up front, I don't intend to have spoilers really for any of the shows that I'm going to be talking about. Because when I talk about mysteries, in order to make them work, I believe they have to be meaningful. And I do not believe that that meaning is dependent on the answers or the resolution or the solution to that mystery. In fact, I would say if you don't make a mystery interesting, independent of what the answer is, you have made a bad mystery. And we're kind of going to be getting into that a little bit. Mysteries are a great hook. Whether you are dealing with a one-off singular story, an ongoing series, mysteries keep people coming back. They keep people engaged. They get fans talking with each other. It brings speculation. It brings higher levels of engagement. Maybe if you're real lucky, you get people like me theorizing and talking about the mysteries. And maybe there's new updates every time there's a new episode, throwing out theories, speculation. Ooh, what does this mean? It's a marketing tactic in a lot of ways. That's not to negate the importance of mystery as an actual storytelling tool, but let's not kid ourselves. The purpose of mystery in a lot of our modern media is as a hook. It's there to get you interested and to keep you coming back with the promise, or at least the tease, of potential answers eventually. And if you get invested, maybe you also want to try and figure it out before you get the answers. Maybe. That's if it works. If it doesn't work, well, then you're just left with people going, okay. I mentioned Severance. Now, Severance is a show that I do like, had an amazing first season, and a pretty good second season. Speaking personally, at least. Part of the reason why I do not think as highly of the second season as I do of the first is that the shift was a little bit more put on in emphasis on the mystery of the company Lumen and what was happening there. And the thing was, part of what I loved about the first season is whatever was going on at Lumen honestly didn't really matter. What mattered was the people working there, what the process and experience of Severance did to them, what this corporate environment was continually doing to them, what was happening to them as human beings, and precisely what purposes Lumen had them for doesn't really impact that. All that matters is that Lumen doesn't want them knowing what they're doing. That's enough. What they're actually doing to the story that mattered to me, the story of these people, their connections with each other, them trying to figure out the best way to live any kind of life, that is completely independent of what it is they're actually working on. Now, thankfully, it didn't completely drop the personal story aspects, but they got a little less emphasis in that second season, and there was a little bit more emphasis put on the plot, which I found less interesting. Now, this is where I'm going to break and note that I am talking from my perspective. There is absolutely an audience out there that will have some degree of engagement based just off the fact that a mystery is present at all. I don't want to pretend like they have no sense of quality or that they don't demand a certain minimum level of competence, but there is definitely an audience out there that you dangle a mystery in front of them, regardless of how well or poorly it's integrated into the rest of the story, they will latch onto it. But that's just not who I am. Now, that doesn't make me better or worse than them, but there's a type of fan who loves hunting for clues and who loves combing through and speculating, throwing out theories and conversing with others, coming up with what they think, and like they meet up and go, "Oh, so what do you think's going on?" And that's just not me. I'm someone who wants you to just tell me a good story. If you have engaged me with the characters and the narrative, the mystery, I'm not going to say has no meaning, but like that's icing. I won't stick around for a mystery on its own, and on its own, it doesn't have a lot of meaning to me. Now, while I won't say that my view on this is like somehow inherently superior, and I fully acknowledge is not universal, what I will say is from my observation, based on how audiences have reacted to long-running mysteries as they played out, and especially as they've started to get answers, I am of the opinion that those where the mystery has not been made truly core and meaningful to the actual events and the characters that we are watching have a higher percentage of letting down the fans. Maybe that's coincidental, but I'm going off observation here. Now, I have mentioned Severance. Let's talk about a few other examples here, because there's certainly plenty of stuff out there that had a mystery, maybe even an interesting one, but then just failed to do anything with it. A show that lost me, that I started out liking, mostly. I always had some degree of issues. It just varied from season to season on what it was Orphan Black. Now, I bailed a little ways into the 4th season. And part of the reason that I bailed, well, I said at the time, it feels like they're making it up as they go along. And while I'm not going to invalidate that assessment, I don't think it's wrong, there was another aspect that I think I didn't really appreciate at the time, which was the fact that the mystery that they kept dangling and stringing me along on, I realized I didn't care. And it wasn't doing anything interesting with the characters anymore. What got me interested in that show to the extent that I was that I liked these characters, most of them. There were some I really didn't, but I liked most of these characters, and I liked seeing them bond with each other, see what they build for themselves and for each other collectively, what they were or weren't willing to do for each other. But then by the time we got into the 4th season, their character dynamics were pretty much settled in. And so all it really had left for me was like, and don't you want answers to the mystery of how this happened and why and like who's Katana? I'm like, actually, I don't. It doesn't really seem to actually be impacting the characters very much anymore. It's just the only thing you have left to string me along for a story that you probably should have wrapped up by now. So that's one instance. There is Doctor Who. We'll get to that. Doctor Who might be my single most egregious example for badly handled mysteries. Let's look at a good example. Because when I say I want a mystery to be meaningful, I should probably quantify that a little bit better. Let's talk about Stranger Things. Specifically, let's talk about season 1 of Stranger Things, which has a glorious mystery at its heart. What happened to Will Byers? Now, that is a mystery that touches every single character. Everything that happens in that first season in some way revolves around what happened to Will. And everyone who is involved in the story is involved because they are connected to that question and its answers. They either know or they really want to know. And they are willing to go to some lengths to find out. And so it is a question and a mystery that is driving not just the plot in terms of, oh, our characters have a goal. Like the heart of every decision that they make starts with what happened to Will. And the answers of what happened and how they get him back also have a very direct impact on everybody there and everybody involved. This story wouldn't be happening. These characters wouldn't be all connecting in the way they are. Some of them, sure, but a lot of them wouldn't be interacting with each other at all, were it not for that question. There needs to be some urgency also, I think. That's maybe not an absolute rule, but I think it helps. Because in the case of Stranger Things Season 1, if they don't find him, they might never get him back. So there's a sense of urgency to it that enhances everything. I mean, think of what is the basic mystery setup. It's a murder mystery. And the way that that mystery is inherently meaningful is that someone is dead, people are accused of it, and the urgency is, well, if someone killed this person, they might get away with it, or heck, they might kill someone else. That gives us that sense of urgency at its most basic, fundamental level. But then there are other shows that completely lack for a sense of urgency. And if the characters don't really connect for you, the mystery is not going to pull you along. One that did that to me, and I was commissioned to take a look at the first 2 episodes years ago, but I was never going to come back to it. And I know this thing has its fans. I'm just going to explain why it doesn't work for me on the basis of what I'm talking about. The OA. This was, I believe, a 2-season show on Netflix. I was commissioned to take a look at the first 2 episodes, and I did not like them. And I think fundamentally it failed for a couple of reasons. There is absolutely a sense of mystery. You have this woman who has shown up and is just saying some very strange things, and based off what was known about her before she disappeared, there's definitely some big questions going on around her. But there's no sense of urgency. Like, this is strange for sure, but there's nothing driving a need to find this out soon. It's just a question that's in the air, which means that the entire show, for me at least, was going to hinge and live or die on whether or not I like the characters. And I really, really did not. And I'm not even just going to chalk that up to a personal preference thing. I think I just have major artistic fundamental disagreements with the creators, because I didn't even realize this when I sat down to watch the OA. They made a movie a while back called Another Earth that I fucking hate. And I fucking hate it because I cannot stand the lead character at all. And I understand on paper why these characters are interesting, but they don't connect with me, and I don't like them. And there's no sense of urgency, so I'm definitely not sticking around just because you have a mystery and questions that might theoretically have interesting answers. Here's another one that might be kind of controversial, although it might be controversial that I'm praising it. But honestly, Lost, especially that first season. Because the survivors of the plane crash, being on this island, everything that is going on here that is weird, that we have questions about, that we're going, what the hell is even going on, has very direct impact on everybody there. Their potential ability to survive even another day is wrapped up in the questions of what is even going on. So it's urgent. It's meaningful to the people involved, because until they get answers, they don't even know what their survival options are, how feasible it even is. And again, this is regardless of eventual answers. And it also helped that they had a lot of characters that I found engaging. Not all of them. Some of them I was like, yeah, you're fine, whatever. But there were multiple characters I was like, ooh, I'm real interested in you. Ooh, I like you. Oh, I just like having you on screen. So it got me invested in the people while presenting mysteries that mattered to them and had a sense of importance and weight. Circling back onto murder mysteries, I think another show that, in its first series at least, handled its mystery elements really well was Broadchurch. Now, this is a murder mystery where the question of who killed this young boy, that stretches across the entire first series. And whatever you think about the eventual answers, it is absolutely a meaningful mystery because we come into this deeply disrupted small town. There is suspicion, there is discomfort. The town seems to have almost stopped dead. And an answer to the question, what happened and who did this, could possibly be the only way anybody is ever going to move on with their lives. Whether they personally had much of a connection with this kid or not, this is deeply disruptive. And as you get to know these people, even as you find out some really unpleasant things about some of them, they feel real enough that you want them to be able to just live their lives, but nobody's going to be able to do that until this overhanging question of what happened here and who did it gets answered. But I've kind of been dancing around Doctor Who, so why don't we bring that back and explain why Doctor Who mystery boxes are the epitome of failing to make mysteries meaningful. I have gone on lengthy rambles in the past about the Doctor Who mystery box format that they use for their season-long storytelling elements. I do not like it. I am on record as not liking it. But let me acknowledge up front that especially if we are gauging it by the metrics of, is this a meaningful mystery? Some are better than others. For me, I think the gold standard of the Doctor Who mystery boxes, this is about the only one that's going to have any degree of spoilers at all, but even these, not so much. But the gold standard is Series 5 with the cracks in the universe and the cracks in time. Because those are things that actually are impacting the plot. They are, in fact, something the Doctor is actively investigating and is having direct influence and impact on the world and the universe around us. We don't, for a while, know exactly why, what it means, what it is, but it's doing stuff. Which is the biggest overriding problem with the vast majority of Doctor Who mystery boxes. They don't do anything. They're just there. The classic Doctor Who mystery box is a repetition of a visual element, a turn of phrase, a word. It may be spoken, it may be written. It's just something that gets repeated over and over and over again, and you don't know what it means, but it's obviously going to mean something because it keeps getting repeated, but it never has any meaning until the finale, where it is finally granted meaning by way of explanation. But up until that point, it is meaningless. Bad Wolf has no meaning until the finale of Series 1. Harold Saxon has very little meaning as a name that is being heard and said and spoken until the finale of Series 3. The hybrid, oh cripes, the hybrid is given so much weight but has no actual practical meaning in any of the stories where that name is invoked, all across Series 9. Just last year, we had the repeated appearances of the actress Susan Twist. She kept showing up and obviously was going to mean something, but like her showing up over and over again didn't matter. It was just a thing that was happening. And now we have frickin' Mrs. Flood, the fourth wall breaking something. By the time this actually goes out, we may have answers on what the hell her deal is. But up until that point, it has no meaning. I don't know who she is. I don't know what she's trying to accomplish. I assume she's a bad guy or a villain of some sort, but that's just because of the general energy that is put out by the way she's shot. She hasn't done anything. She hasn't impacted the story in any meaningful way. The first season that she was in, she literally just turned to the camera at a few points and went, mystery. I mean, she didn't literally say that, but she might as well have for all the meaning that it had. And for a lot of this stuff, the main characters aren't even noticing it. The Doctor doesn't notice Bad Wolf until, what, episode 10 or 11 of the 13-episode series?
2 words following us. Bad Wolf.
The Doctor has yet to notice Mrs. Flood. She's going on 2 friggin' seasons now. These things have no meaning within the story that they appear. It's just a mystery for the sake of having a mystery, in the mistaken belief that alone is a hook. And again, for some audiences, it is, but it's not for all audiences. And within the sake of the narrative itself, it has no function, no meaning, and no purpose. It's not doing anything. It's not driving anything. It's not affecting the decisions of characters. It's not impacting, at least so far as we're aware, because you won't tell us what it is. It's not impacting the world in a way that influences our characters. It's just a thing that's there that we're meant to wonder. And that is the beating heart of pointless mystery. Absolutely meaningless. It has no function, no use, other than to simply exist for its own damn sake. That's not enough. Mysteries are wonderful things. Mysteries, unanswered questions, things that you'll pick up on later, those can be amazing hooks. Those can really enhance something, but it has to enhance and not be the entire dang thing. And if it's not enhancing, because it's not impacting anything, then take it out. For mysteries to actually add flavor, they have to matter. As easy as it is to dunk on J.J. Abrams for his concept of mystery boxes, he does at least understand this much. He's real bad at knowing what the answers are. And as I said, while I'm not dealing with whether or not the answers are satisfying as part of this particular conversation, I'm not going to pretend that that is irrelevant. It isn't. It's absolutely relevant. And it does matter to the final payoff of things. But to actually get people invested enough to bother seeing your payoff, you need to make the mystery meaningful in the first place. You need to have it impact the people, the story, the world. And for all of his other faults, J.J. Abrams is usually pretty good at doing that at least. Man just can't come up with an answer worth a dang because he doesn't care about them. That's kind of a separate conversation. You know, when you create a mystery because you want to have a mystery, but you haven't actually planned for a specific answer that you are integrating into the themes or weaving into the narrative or what have you. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation that I do not feel like having right now. But yeah, I've seen enough shows, and especially recently after finishing up Severance and now Doctor Who coming back and it's just freaking Mrs. Flood again. Yeah, this is my plea to creators. Mysteries are great. I love mysteries, and it's certainly a great way to engage your audience. But a mystery in and of itself, just you going, ooh, don't you wonder what this is? No, I don't. I don't care. It's distracting. Get it out of here. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. I have no doubt that people who disagree with me in the comments, either with my overall assessment or about any of the specific examples that I've given, are going to come from me. Oh, if the OA fans find this, they are going to be all over me again. I'm sorry. I didn't like any of those people. And it's not even that I don't believe you that they get better later on. I just hated them so much I didn't care. Regardless. God, I'm just inviting more nonsense. Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. You also would have gotten to have seen this video a week early or so if you were supporting me there, or as a YouTube member right here on the channel. But even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe, the YouTube stuff, you are aware of it. So kindly, if you wouldn't mind, would you kindly? What's the mystery behind that phrase? Boy, that's an outdated reference. It's freaking BioShock. That is coming up on 20 years and a little bit. Not too far away. Anyways, what I really want you to remember is that you are beautiful. You are valid. You are loved. You are the council, and I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Quite Bearish, Zubin Lutfula, Mara G, Angry Kasparov, Dave Hall, Andre, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Pal Barabajagal, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. And also Toka Blue Hoovian, Auntie Kate 808, and Tracy Scrabbit. If you'd like to hear me try and pronounce your name correctly while these guys chitter in my ears, check out the reward tiers on the Patreon. Yes, I hear you.